Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Carmine Sabia for Explain America, and things have gone from rough to tragic for Vice President Kamala Harris. Before we get started, please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Those little things really help us out, and they help our channel continue to grow. And if you're not watching us on YouTube, please visit that address in the lower right-hand corner. It's youtube.com/@ExplainAmerica. When you get there, please hit subscribe absolutely free. It really helps us out. Incoherent and hateful. That's the closing campaign message from Kamala Harris. And Molly Hemingway, who's a brilliant mind in the world of politics, she was on Fox News and she laid it out perfectly. This is what the vice president's message is, and it's horrific. It's horrific. It's a horrific closing message. But her campaign is collapsing. She's grasping at straws. She's in desperate need of something, and she can't give you a reason to vote for her. She has no accomplishments, so the only thing she can tell you is hate this other man. Hate my opponent. Hate him so much that you are willing to vote against your best financial interests, against the best interest for your children, against the best interest for your country, against the best interest for your future. Vote against all of that because you hate this man. That's her only message. Only one. That, and of course, the right to snuff out the life of a baby in the womb. Two messages. That's all she has. Hate Trump and hate your own children, apparently, when you're pregnant. Two messages. Both hate-filled and really incoherent. I want you to watch this and let me know what you think in the comments.
Interesting. Let's bring in Molly Hemingway, the Federalist editor-in-chief and a Fox News contributor. Molly, great to see you. As always, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Do you think that's weird that they talked, but that issue didn't come up?
It's very hard to believe that there wasn't even an apology from Joe Biden toward Kamala Harris for what was said. And, you say Kamala Harris distanced herself from these remarks, but she didn't really do much distancing, and she made a false claim saying she doesn't like to disparage voters who aren't voting for her. The problem is that so many people in her campaign and she herself have spent much of the last few months calling people who don't support her campaign racist, bigots. Last week they were really leaning hard into Nazis. Her running mate today called supporters of Donald Trump Nazis. And so it's hard to distance yourself from President Biden when so much of your campaign messaging also seems to be similar.
So just a short time after that comment was made, which we showed earlier in the show, by the current president about supporters of Trump being garbage, this was the reaction on stage in Allentown, Pennsylvania from President Trump. Watch.
Garbage, I think, is worse, right? Please forgive him, for he not knoweth what he said. These people, terrible, terrible. Terrible to say a thing like that, but he really doesn't know. Honestly, he doesn't.
But in reality, President Biden, as you just referred to in terms of the Biden-Harris administration, has been going after Trump supporters for a really long time. Here's a quick montage to remind people. Number one.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. This MAGA thread is a threat to the brick and mortar of our democratic institutions. But it's also a threat to the character of our nation. He talks about the blood of America as being poisoned, echoing the same exact language used in Nazi Germany. The MAGA Republicans, led by a defeated president, is trying to steal history.
So it looks like a tight election. They seem to double down, really. They must feel that this works for them, Molly.
Well, it is a tight election, but Kamala Harris is running so far behind where Joe Biden was 4 years ago and where Hillary Clinton was 8 years ago. This is a very curious closing message, though. You look at what you just showed a few minutes ago. Donald Trump says his closing message is, I'll fix it. That kind of gives people an idea of why they might vote for him. Her closing message is, you're a horrible person if you don't vote for me. And I'm not sure. I mean, it might work. We'll have to find out next week. But it doesn't seem to be as hopeful or joyful as she claims she wants to be.
Yeah, why do you think we saw that shift? Because she was actually at her highest point right out of her convention and right after we saw what I call the big switcheroo, the switch of the candidates. That was her highest point. So why do you think that she has gravitated to this sort of darker message in the later months?
Well, campaigns always seem to embody the presidential candidate. And there is something incoherent about her own message, and it seems to be filtering down to the campaign. But there's this other thing that also is true, which is Donald Trump has some of the highest favorables he's ever had. That means that she's trying to tear those down right now.
Yeah, in our Fox polls, he's at 53% favorable, which is 4 points higher than he ever was when he was president. So really interesting to watch all of this. Molly, always great to hear from you. Thank you so much. Molly Hemingway of The Federalist. And that is the story.